Today I'm behind it with a brand new 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD PRO. Now, for 2021, there's only one major change, and that's on the outside. There's a new available color. It's called Lunar Rock. Last year, Army Green came out as a big hit. This year is Lunar Rock. And it's a lighter bluish greenish color, but it works. I actually enjoy this color better than Army Green, and I think it transforms this TRD PRO once again. Now, the reason why there's no other change to this TRD PRO for 2021 is because Toyota's preparing the next generation. The third generation of Tundra is coming out in 2022. There's very, very little information about it, but rumor has it that the next generation of Tundra will be powered by a twin-turbo V6 rather than the tried and true iForce V8. I don't know if that's such a good thing, and I don't know if that's been confirmed. I guess we will just have to wait and see. In the meantime, this 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD PRO is still a fantastic truck, still does so many things well, and if you're interested, keep watching. All right, I'm behind the wheel. Let's see how good this brand new Tundra is and how it drives. First thing I want to talk about is the driving position, because I think this is the best part of driving a full-size truck. It is very, very high off the ground. I have difficulty getting into the seat because this Tundra TRD PRO does not come with any side steps, so you'll have to install your own. So for me, I'm 5'10", and I really struggle to get in. However, once you get into the seat, man, it's such a commanding view. I really, really love it. You're so high off the ground. You're literally looking down a couple feet towards other people, and it's so vast, and I really, really enjoy this driving position. Now, I mentioned about how high this Tundra is. There is 10.6 inches of ground clearance. So yeah, that's quite a lot. So if you wanted to run over boulders, you wanted to run over curbs or rocks or whatever you have a feel for, you could definitely do so. And with this TRD PRO, it's ready for that because underneath, up front, there is a gigantic TRD PRO skid plate. It is enormous, and it also looks good. Not that anyone's going to crawl underneath, like myself, to look at it, but it actually does look pretty good. Now, what's also special about this TRD PRO is the suspension. Besides the skid plate, if you take a look, the front suspension, the front shocks, they are Fox shocks with reservoirs. So it does give this TRD PRO a softer suspension with more travel, and that's what you want when you tackle off-road or you go desert racing or race in a Home Depot parking lot. It doesn't really matter, but you do get that with the TRD PRO. So it's about 1.2 inches more travel up front and about 2.3 or 4 inches in the rear, so it does help slightly. Now, when you're not going off-road or desert racing and you're on the road, man, this ride is so soft and so comfortable. Because of how high you are, you know, you really feel like you're driving a cloud or something. Like, it is really, really comfortable around town. These shocks or dampers is just soaking up everything. Like, you really don't feel any of the small bumps or dips or potholes or anything like that. It's a very, very nice ride. Now, what also makes this drive really nice is the visibility and also the seats. Visibility, let me start with that. Front visibility, quite good, although the hood scoops, and there's two of them on this Tundra TRD PRO. One of them does cut in the front visibility slightly, but overall still pretty big windshield. The windows, the side windows, you know, are enormous, so no problems with blind spot. Rear window is also decent. And if you didn't know, the Tundra is the only full-size truck where the rear window can actually slide down. Every other truck out there, and I don't know why, there's a small middle window that opens up, right? Which is very convenient at times and lets some air in. But Tundra is the only one where the whole thing comes down, which is really, really convenient, and it really does let a lot of air in. So, in case you didn't know that. That's a nice feature. But visibility overall, very, very nice. And surprisingly, these seats are very comfortable. Inside this TRD Pro, front and rear seats covered in a special black leather with red stitching. Looks really nice. Up front, you do see TRD Pro stitch into the seat back, so gives a nice little touch. There's a few places where you see TRD Pro. They don't look the best, they don't feel the best, but they're very comfortable. Let's just put it that way, right? Obviously, there's seats on the market from other trucks that have beautiful like stitching and quilted stitching and piping and all this stuff that make it like you're in a luxury car. You don't get that in this TRD Pro. However, the seats are very comfortable. Up front, seats are very big, very wide. You don't get any problems where, you know, the bottom cushion like cuts into your thighs or anything like that. None whatsoever. And the bottom cushion is very comfortable. It's very soft. I feel like I could drive this TRD Pro all day long and not get achy from it. And the back too, it's nice and wide. There's bolstering, but I'm sliding around a little bit because the bolstering is really wide. This is really meant to basically handle any type of person out there, right? So the seats are very, very comfortable. They're not sports seat by any means. They look okay, but yeah, the seats, along with everything else I mentioned, driving position, visibility, right? All good. I don't know if you could hear that, but the exhaust is also mesmerizing. And that's because of this powertrain, which hasn't changed for the last 14 years. Think about that. This engine, this 5.7 liter iForce V8 engine up front, made it to a 6-speed automatic. This has not changed since the Tundra, the second generation Tundra debuted in 2007. So for 14 years, it's still the same, and it's still one of the best engines you could get inside a full-size truck. The engine is producing 381 horsepower and over 400 pound-feet of torque. This engine with this transmission rockets this TRD Pro 0 to 60 in about 6.3 seconds. 6.3 seconds in a full-size truck, that's ridiculous territory. And with this engine, you could tow plenty. Now, this TRD Pro, you could tow 9,200 pounds, which is about 1,000 less than a normal Tundra. That's because of the softer suspension, but still, 9,200 pounds, that's plenty. 1,560 pounds of payload, that's plenty. So not only is it fast, but it can handle any job you're ready for. Listen to that exhaust. Ooh. Obviously, because it's a V8, it's a big V8, it's a big growly V8. Toyota matched it with TRD specific exhaust, right? Two tips out the sides, not the back, it's out the sides. Very thick, it's like a dark chrome color, but accentuates this V8 sound, which is really, really nice around town. Anytime you accelerate, man, you get that growly V8 sound, and that's what you want in a truck like this. The problem is though, if you're on a steep hill or you're towing or doing, you know, putting load on the engine constantly, you get a lot of drone. So that's the downside to this beautiful exhaust. But around town, that's definitely not an issue. It's so mesmerizing, the sound. I'm really, really loving it. Now, what else do you get with this Tundra TRD Pro? Well, with TRD Pro, you only get one cab configuration, that is Crew Max, which means you're going to get apartment-like interior space inside. And I'm not joking, especially in the rear. So take a look. I'm 5'10", I mentioned that. I have over 12 inches of legroom behind my driving position, probably like 14 or 16 inches. There's so much legroom back there. Headroom, not so much, maybe about 3 to 4 inches, maybe a little bit more, but so much legroom, and there's so much width. You could easily fit 3 adults back there, no problems at all. And you can fold the bottom cushion up to create more space underneath. However, the floor is not flat like what you see with other trucks. There's like a little hump there, so it's not exactly flat. So if you're looking to put a bed there, a cushion there to sleep, you might have a difficult time. But if you're looking to put a TV or a bike or whatever back there, you should be okay. Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot of amenities in the back. You have a pair of vents and one 12V outlet. So unfortunately, if you have 3 burly men that is sitting in the back and they need to plug in their iPad or whatever, they're probably gonna have to fight over that 12V outlet. Now, because you got this apartment-like, cabin here, it does take away some of the space from the bed, but it's still not too bad. It's still very deep, very wide, and the length is 5.5 foot. So rather than 6.5 foot, it's 5.5 foot, still plenty for most people. And you do have a spray and liner and a rail system with tie downs, so you could tie whatever you want back there. Unfortunately, there's no plugs of any kind, so you can't plug in your power tools. Also, there's no hidden storage, no divider system, and also no steps. So none of those things. However, most of those things you can buy aftermarket. This truck has been out literally since the Stone Ages, so there is a lot of accessories that you can customize your Tundra with. Now, what about the inside? Well, in 2020, Toyota decided to make the inside slightly better for Tundra TRD owners. Surprising, one of the standard features that got added on for 2020 is keyless entry and a push-button start. Fortunately, I didn't test a 2019 Tundra TRD Pro or I would have made a big fuss about it. But yeah, those two things were added. Also, what was added is this nice 8-inch infotainment screen. This is very nice. This is actually better than the one, say, in a RAV4 or a Highlander, some of the newer Toyota offerings. This is better. The screen is better, it's brighter, and it does feel more responsive. The interface works about the same, but you get navigation here, Wi-Fi, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. They got added on as standard features. So this infotainment system is definitely a big upgrade, and I'm a fan. Of course, there's still a couple knobs, volume knob, scrolling knob, and a couple buttons on the side for quick navigating. But yeah, no complaints about that. Now underneath, you have climate control, 2 big knobs, dual zone climate control, very easy to figure out, right? The knobs are huge, so if you're wearing your gloves, no problems turning them. You get heated seats in here, but unfortunately, no ventilated seats. And underneath, you get plenty of ports. You get 3 USB ports, a 12V outlet. Also, I mentioned a 12V outlet in the back, and you get one more 12V outlet for good measure inside this enormous armrest. This is one of the biggest armrests I've ever seen. If you open it up, you could literally put a dozen laptops in there if you wanted to, or you could put your power tools. Oof. Remember I said 0 to 60, about 6.2 seconds, 6.3 seconds? It feels like it. You put your foot down and just throw the exhaust, the sound just takes over. And you feel like you're in a V8 Mustang or something. And you're just flying down, right? So you're definitely not gonna have a problem, getting up to speed, passing, drag racing, whatever you're in the mood for. Now, as I'm coming to a stop, the brakes are okay. The pedal feels a little mushy, and because of the soft suspension, the nose dives a little bit, especially when you're braking hard. Overall, it's not bad. As for cabin noise, besides the exhaust, it's very quiet. Like, Toyota did a really good job insulating this cabin. No wind noise, no cars passing by, I don't hear them. I don't hear the road noise. I don't hear anything from the tires. The only thing I hear constantly is exhaust noise. So that's something you have to get used to. I know a lot of you guys will enjoy that all the time, and you just go leave the radio off because you just want to hear the exhaust 24/7. Now, silly me, I didn't talk about the biggest change to the Tundra TRD Pro for 2021. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about the outside. So for 2021, Army Green, which debuted in 2020, that was a big hit. A lot of people really like Army Green. And that is still available now, but it's not on the TRD Pro. It's on lower versions of the Tundra, so you can't opt for it if you really love that color. So this here is the brand new Lunar Rock, right? And it's a color that sounds like if you were bringing this Tundra TRD Pro to the moon, it would be perfect. It's hard to describe this color. It's like a light bluish green color, but it's lighter, and I like that because you get better contrast. So, you know, Army Green is a pretty dark color, so even though the handles, the badges, emblems were all black, it's hard to notice. But with this, very easy to notice, so you get that good contrast between a lighter body color and all these other things that are black. So I like it. I like it a lot. I like the Lunar Rock color better than Army Green. Now, I mentioned about everything that is black, and of course on the front, TRD Pros, their grille is different. You get a very large black grille. You get two hood scoops for some reason, and they're both fake, by the way. Both clearly not necessary, but you get them. But the outside of the Tundra is a big, you know, big manly truck. That hasn't changed for basically 14 years. And for some reason, it still works, in my opinion. It still looks like a good truck, even though it's been out since forever. Now, of course, Toyota did make changes over the years. So now the headlights, full LED with LED daytime running lights. And also underneath, you get Rigid Industries LED fog lights. So it is modernized, but the front end is still that big, bold, kind of curvy and masculine look, all fused together. And on the side, you know, it's a big full-size truck, right? What's different about this TRD Pro, I mentioned about the skid plate and the suspension, but you do get special TRD wheels, BBS forged wheels. They are black, right, with the red center cap. Looks kind of unique. The only problem I have with that is the tires. The tires are too wimpy. You need bigger, more aggressive all-terrain tires to match this look, this TRD Pro, right? I know Toyota did it for a lot of reasons, to make the drive better, quieter, improve fuel efficiency, but it just doesn't look right. It needs to be bigger. Now, towards the back, you do have TRD Pro stamped on the bed on both sides, and also the Tundra stamped on the tailgate. It's subtle, and you can get decals that make it really pop out, but I like the subtleness without decals. Despite the fact that this Tundra has been out on the road for so long, and I'm sure you guys seen a million of them already, but somehow in the TRD Pro, you know, form with this new Lunar Rock color, it looks fresh. It looks different because you haven't seen one before, because this configuration is brand new. And that's the genius to Toyota. Somehow they can fool you psychologically to make something that's so old feel so new. And they're the only ones that can do this. So Toyota, they're brilliant. Now, a few other things I didn't mention. Inside this Tundra TRD Pro, you do have a 2-speed transfer case with 4 high, 2 high, and 2 low, and there's a knob for that. Also, you do get a brake controller. That's nice. You get a tow mode. So in case you want to tow 90 to 100 pounds, you could turn that on. So those are nice. And you get Toyota Safety Sense P with this Tundra TRD Pro, which means it's pretty safe. So what do you get? Well, you get lane departure alert. So if you're swerving out of your lane, pre-collision system. So emergency braking, you get that. Auto high beam, right? You get that. Yeah, so you get the essentials, right? Unfortunately, like, you know, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, you do not get that. Outside of those things, you pretty much have it all. Now, as you can see from this review so far, I'm a big fan of this Tundra TRD Pro. I'm a truck guy. I've always been a truck guy, and I've always been a fan of Tundras. But what are some negatives? What are some bad things about this Tundra? Well, let's start with fuel economy. Even though this is a really nice V8 engine with a 6-speed automatic, fuel economy is really bad. 14 miles per gallon combined, right? That's combined. And most likely, if you're driving a lot around town, it's going to be even less than that. So fuel economy isn't the greatest. Now, other things that I don't mind, but I could see how others will find this a negative. For example, this dash, right? The dash is definitely not the fanciest, especially when you compare it to the Ram 1500's dash with a gigantic screen and a new 2021 Ford F-150 with a gigantic screen, right? If you compare this inside, you know, those trucks, this, yeah, feels a little dated. But for me, I like the look. I think Toyota still did a good job with this look. I mean, this still looks better than, say, a Sierra 1500's dash, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind at all. Now, the 6-speed transmission, obviously, it has a few less gears than the competition, right? That also contributes to the bad fuel economy. But you do get a regular shifter, and the knob actually says TRD on it. So it looks nice. It feels nice. It works traditionally. You don't have to relearn it. You know, other manufacturers now moving to button style, rotary style, right? They just take time to get used to. This one just works. You don't have to relearn it. Also, with the gauge cluster, I mean, inside this Tundra TRD Pro, you have a pretty masculine looking gauge cluster, right? A lot of gauges. You know, you got some nice bezels around the gauges. And you have a small screen, about a 4-inch screen that shows you the essential stuff. Obviously, this is not as fancy as some of the other gauge clusters inside these other full-size trucks, where literally it's a whole screen and you get a lot more views and all that good stuff, right? So this could be argued that it is dated. But again, for me, I think this is perfectly fine. And the dash is perfectly fine. The whole center console layout, everything in here is perfectly fine. So for me, I don't think it's a negative, but I'm sure a lot of you guys will feel that way. Now, the one thing I didn't talk about yet, and I think you guys know this already, the reason why so many people love the Tundra and specifically the TRD Pro is because of the reliability and also resale value. They go hand in hand. This has been around for 14 years, so basically Toyota already perfected it. There is nothing they don't know about this truck, and it's reliable. It's really, really, really reliable. So people that buy Tundras, they pretty much expect to drive them for 1 million miles, right? And because of how reliable it is, yeah, the resale value is insane on Tundras. And this is the reason why so many people still love Tundras. So next up, let me talk about pricing and give you my final thoughts on this brand new Tundra TRD Pro. As for pricing, the 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro only comes with one cab configuration, and that's the Crew Max, and there are no available packages. The total price is a tad over $53,000 before destination fees. In conclusion, the 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro is more of the same goodness we've come to love over the last decade. The new Lunar Rock color spices things up on the outside, and the TRD grille, wheels, and black emblems does a good job making the TRD Pro variant different from all other Tundras. The Tundra TRD Pro is big and brawny and can tow just about anything. There is apartment-like space on the inside and a nice infotainment screen, and also the essential tech goodies and safety features are standard. And that iForce V8 engine along with the 6-speed automatic makes the Tundra a thrill to drive. The bad is the TRD Pro exhaust can be annoying on long trips or under load. The 14 miles per gallon combined fuel economy could be better. The Tundra's cabin and dash looks dated compared to the competition, and there are no standard steps which make it difficult to get in and out of. I'm giving the brand new 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro a score of 109. To see where it ranks and to learn more about it, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching, hit the like and subscribe to the channel, and check out these other videos.